Okay guys, good morning. Let's get started. So in the search window, you can either search Visual Studio or DEV-ENV. DEV-ENV. I'll tell you what DEV-ENV is. So first we go with Visual Studio. Visual Studio 2019, just click on it.
Uh-huh.
It opens up this IDE. This IDE comes, this is the start page. These are the projects I have been working on. Okay, individual projects.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't be seeing any of these. So what you will do is you will go with continue without code. Okay, you just click on this.
Yeah.
So it opens a blank page. Okay, this is a solution explorer. We'll see
Mm-hmm.
about it in a bit. And this is application explorer.
Connecting with AOT.
Yes, AOT. So even if you don't see them here, you can always go to view
Yeah.
and then see application explorer, AOT, and
Uh-huh.
where is this solution explorer? Solution explorer. See, Control Alt L is a shortcut for that. Anyways, you will be familiar with the shortcuts later by practicing it. You will go. Even if you don't see them, they will be present exactly here in the view window. Okay. These
Okay.
are the two main things we need for now. For now. Okay, we'll see about the other windows later. So this is a blank project without name anything. This is just blank. So you will be seeing an extensions tab here, and within these extensions, you see Dynamics 365. In this Dynamics
Yeah.
365, in this Dynamics 365, select Model Management and then create a model. So model name is, you can give anything, preferably just start with, this is the extension, right? You prefix it with any text and then give the actual name. So
Uh-huh.
hello world. Why prefixing is important? Important in this, not mandatory, it is important because if you are writing hello world, if you are creating hello world model, so some point down the line, you want to create again hello world. So naming conflicts would occur. So to avoid that, you just prefix it with something. And also in the all the elements within this project also will prefix it with some sort of constant string. So our organization is Angel. So I prefixed it with ANJ. Okay, and the publisher, it is your name, my name here, and the layer. These are all the layers. Are you aware of these layers?
I know about the current layer.
Current layer. Okay, I'll be doing USR. USR is user layer, I would say. So all the
Uh-huh.
customizations for the user, I'll put it in this model. That is a kind of logical grouping. Let's say for now. Okay, logical grouping only. Okay, you just select any
Uh-huh.
layer, USR or ISV. ISV is in vendor, software vendor, independent software vendor. For now, we'll select USR. Okay, and the
Okay.
model
I want to
description.
see.
Yep,
Yeah. As I know, the programming in D365 is extension-based programming
yes.
because Microsoft does not allow to modify its own
Correct, correct.
architecture.
Earlier they used to in the previous versions of D365, not D365, prior to
AX2012 does not.
prior to D365 X2012 and all.
Yeah.
So that has created a lot of program. You might be problems. You might be knowing that people used to change that, and the
Yeah. Yeah.
Microsoft
Exactly.
releases patches, and those are not compatible. Most of the time, it creates a lot of a lot of chaos. So
Yeah.
that's why now
So
they stopped
in
allowing that. Now it is completely extension based. You're right. So let's continue. Okay, and this is hello world. I just model description. just click on next, and we just select create new package. This is brand new, and we also could select existing package like existing model. These are all the models, existing model. Suppose if I'm creating a model, brand new model, right? I'm done with this, and in future, if I want to add anything to that model, I will select the existing model. Okay. Right now we are creating brand new, and these are the basic models which our model requires, our project requires. Okay, this could be anything. For now, just select these application suite and application foundation and application platform. These were all also different models. We will be using some of the existing functionality. So that's why we are selecting. I am assuming that these three are very basic. That's why I'm selecting these three. So I don't want to make this model default for my next projects or the previous projects. I'm just unticking it, and this would create a new project. Right now, what this does is people often used to get confused the difference between model and a project. Model is a logical container which can have multiple projects. Okay, it can have multiple projects. As we have seen in the previous step, here you have an option to select existing model. Even if you select the existing model, you can go and create a new project here. That means it allow multiple projects to be allowed added to the model. So we are creating a new project. So all our new functionality which we are going to implement should be recited in this project. So we just selected it to create a new project. Now we are going to give the name of the new project. So I'm giving ANJ Hello World. Naming convention would be like this. Actually, the spaces are not allowed. So what we do is instead of giving spaces, the place where we want to give space, the very next, the very next letter, we are going to give a capital letter. So that gives a distinction between the separation of words. Okay. Initially, this is one kind of notation. Started with small,
Camel
and
case,
then sorry,
camel case,
can you?
naming convention,
Yeah.
naming convention on the camel case.
Yeah, camel case, correct, correct. Camel case, there were few formats for this, and each organization will follow one of the naming convention, and different organizations. Microsoft also recommends a particular form of naming convention. But now we don't see that. We just follow the basic things, so in order to not get confused. So we just follow this notation. That's why I'm mentioning that we follow this notation. Whatever we give, the names will be started with small, and then the immediate next word will be started with cap, and the next word will be cap, and so on. So this is the location of the project. So all the classes, all the code which you are going to create will be stored under this location. And the solution name is ANJ Hello World. I'll just show you what this is. Okay, place solution and project in the same directory. This is kind of logical folder restructuring, direct folder placing. That's it. Don't worry about this. The framework. This framework is nothing but, see, all the code which we are writing is is dependent on the code framework provided by the Microsoft. Each year, or for a couple of years, Microsoft is going to release a new framework. Okay, like when .NET started in 2000, early 2000s, and it started with .NET Framework 1, and they kept on increasing the framework. Okay, and our project is based on the latest framework. So just create it. Now you can see in the right side, earlier we don't have any solution or any project in the Solution Explorer. All we could see is only Application Explorer AOT. Okay, now as we have created a project, it has been placed under a solution. Why solution? Because all the projects are placed under a solution. A solution can have multiple projects. Don't get confused. This AOT is specifically targeted to Dynamics 365. And this solution concept, this solution and the projects are relevant to all the projects inside the Visual Studio. It could be X++ programming or C sharp, or or any other language like F sharp, Python, or any the many languages. They can be we can create many language projects, and all those projects can be added to this solution. Okay, this solution can have multiple projects. Projects is a concept specific to Visual Studio only, and AOT is specific to Dynamics 365. Got it? Okay.
Yep.
The Git changes, and these are all additional default Windows Microsoft is the Visual Studio is showing to us. Git is, if suppose in our demo environment, we don't have any source control. It means we will be working solely locally. At some point of
Yep.
time, we might push this to the central server for the code changes, or in real organizations, the code will be maintained in a separate server. So the linkage between our local environment and the server environment will be done through Git, this window, or Team Foundation Explorer. This Explorer is for Team Foundation server, which is the older version of Microsoft source control software.
Mhm.
Git is latest.
Mhm. This is
Organizations will
GitHub.
use either of these. What? I don't hear you, Irshad.
I said GitHub,
Git,
Git and GitHub.
GitHub. GitHub is a site to see to manage. Yeah, correct. Git, it's a website to manage the content. Okay, we call it Git.
Okay. Thank you.
And I can show you one. GitHub is a website. GitHub is a website name. Okay, it's a hub to manage everything. Once you have the account, you will sign in, and then you create repositories and create link, and that will be connected here. At some point of time, if you want to see, or I haven't done this from the demo environment, but I all the time use Git and Visual Studio Foundation server. This Team Explorer all the time. Don't know whether this demo environment can be tagged to it. I'll just verify it. We'll also see that in future if time permits. Okay, GitHub is a signed website to manage or create and manage the repositories. Okay, you might be listening some unfamiliar words. Then that is usual, that is common. Okay, just keep that in mind. So keep that in mind, and you might not be understanding that word now, but going forward, you there is a chance that you would understand it. If it is definitely needed, then I will cover it anyways. As example, I just mentioned repository. Repository is a term specific to GitHub or Team Foundation server. Okay, for now we don't need to know about it, so I'm not explaining about that. We'll see the things in Visual Studio first. Okay, and this is the Solution Explorer,
Okay.
and this is the project. A Solution Explorer can have multiple projects. We created a single project through this extension, and it can have multiple projects, and you can add additional projects, like right clicking on the solution and then add a new project, and it will give you a template. Like, these are all the templates available, the console app, and this is the language C++, and this is another app, C sharp, and this is C++. These are different templates. These are common for all the language guys who are using Visual Studio. Right now we don't do that. Just to show you, I'm just doing this. Okay, right now we have only one project here. Here in this, you need to add all the elements. Okay, all the elements you need to extend the functionality of Dynamics 365. This is about Solution Explorer, and you would be knowing about it. Anyways, I'll just cover it. So AOT stands for Application Object Tree. Okay, this is the Application Explorer. Here we have two views: classical view and model view. This is the model view, and these are all the models. Okay, our model name is ANJ Hello World, and these are all the models. So if you select the model view, it will show all the elements categorized per model. Per model. If you take application platform, which we have added as a reference while creating this solution or this model, you see all the elements, data types, data model tables, table extensions, and the code classes related to it, user interfaces, forms, analytics, all reports, all were segregated per model. And you can switch to classic view. This is the initial view I have selected. So this segregates according to the element type. Let's say if you open this data model and then tables, it will group all the tables in all the models, and you can see this abbreviation staging is the table name, and this belongs to application suite. Accountant underscore br is a table name, and it is in fiscal books. This is about the application explorer. In this application explorer, we can search a particular element. Like if I want to search sales table, it is going to search in the tree and returns all the elements containing this name. You can see data types. You can see the data types which are having the name sales table and extended data types. And some of the tables are also containing this name, COO export control sales table. And I wanted to see this, so I can come here and see. This is the table. And also there are few forms also, data types also with the same name, sales table. This is a form. Table and form on each data type or any element is having a particular icon. See, all the forms are represented with this icon, and all the tables are represented with this. The table extensions also with this. The code is shown with this icon. Okay, this is about Application Explorer. The same way you can also search the element in the Solution Explorer as well. This is about Application Explorer and Solution Explorer for now. Now let's go and let's go and create our beloved or famous program, Hello World. So I'm going to write a piece of code to show that, and I will explain about it after this. First I would like to show you, then we'll see. Add. Okay, right click on the project, not on the solution. In the solution you can only add projects. You can only projects, new projects or existing projects. In the project you just right click and then add new item. These are all the items that can be added to this project. What all the items we want to add? See, these are all the, see, AOT contains, these are all elements, right? The 365 elements, these are all the elements. As I've shown you, table, if you want to add table, you just go to the, data model you see here, data model. If I want to create a table, you just select it and then create a table. For now, I want code. So I'm going to select this code, and we want to create something like this. So I am running, I'm adding a runnable class, which is called job, a simple job. I'll explain the difference between runnable class and normal other things. For now, our objective is to create hello world program. Ng hello world. Just give it a name and then add. While naming, the class, you have to see that class is not existing in any of these elements. What do I mean by that? So when you are adding, let's do it again. Let's add a class, and then I will give something which is already existing. Sales table is already existing, so I'm trying to give it sales table. See, it is throwing an error saying that can't add element with name sales table because the name is invalid. Sales table is already existing. It already exists. That's why naming convention is important to remove the ambiguity and create and avoid any confusion. There is a possibility that we can create with the same name, but that creates a lot of ambiguity and confusion. That's why Microsoft chose this approach to not allow the same element to be placed in this D365. So I have added a class file, and as soon as you add it, it is coming to this project project, and it created a folder called classes and added it under that classes. You might not be seeing, if you try this out, you might not be seeing this folder, but that wouldn't be a problem. There is a option for that. Just try it out and I'll let you know. Now if I explain that, that would be deviating from our hello world program. Just try this out and then we'll see that. So this is a class. This is the syntax for a class, and this is the name of the class, and these are all the access modifier and other keywords that have been added. We will go through it from the next session. Okay, this is a method. Public static void main. This whole thing, the whole text I've selected is called signature. What is the signature of a method? Signature of a method. Okay, this is the method name. As this is the class name, this is a method. This method name is main. Okay, a class can have any number of methods, simply like this, but without the same name. It can have any number of methods, and this is called signature of the method. What is the signature of the main method? Public static void main with this argument. What is the signature of the test method? Public static void test with these arguments. Okay, we don't need this for now. Now I'm going to write a single line of code. Info hello world. Hello world. It is giving some error, invalid token. Why? What is the issue? Hello world. I wrote the same line. Now let us execute this. If you want to execute this, keep this in mind. Okay. In the project, whatever the class you want to execute for now, right click on it and then set as startup object. Not project, but the file. You can do this only for a runnable class. I've shown you while creating this class, we have selected runnable class job, right? We can set a startup object only this runnable class or form. For now, as this is a runnable class, I have added, I've set this as startup object. Now I can simply click on start. So it is building. What is building? So this is the code understandable by us, and this will again be converted back to the machine understandable code, and this will be deployed in the IIS. I will explain that what IIS is and other components as well. It usually takes some time. So this is the output window. You can see here, you will also see we will be using these windows, the error list, output, other windows going forward. We have to use them. It's running and it's loading the symbols. This also we will cover about what this is doing exactly. What is loading of symbols mean? So after I click on that run button, it opened a browser by itself. Now let us see what it does. And it is saying the class runner, running class ANJ hello world. So the class runner has been triggered from the Visual Studio, and then it is displaying from which class it is running. And I'm waiting for a particular message. You see here, we see receive it. Hello world. You can maximize this. Just control and scroll up and it'll maximize this. See this hello world. Hello world is shown here. So to quickly recap what we did so far, I'll create another simple class. Okay, 1 minute job. So this is running. I would like to stop this. Okay, once you click the start button, it is going to start and it is going to display that stop and pause button. Just stopped it. So to quickly recap what I did just now, I just went to the project and add new item. It is going to show this like this dialog. Then expand the Dynamics 365. When you go to code, and then select runnable class, then ANJ. I just gave the name of the for that class. It is not going to accept this because I have already created a class with that name. So I'm going to suffix it with underscore one and then add. As soon as I did it, it is going to create a class in our project. Okay, just go to this class and it has opened it. I just went inside this method and then started info. What are the message you want to print there? Just do it. And after adding this, you have to set it as startup object. If you don't do it, it will execute the previous code. So the linking between start and the startup object has to be done. That is done through this set a startup object option. Mm, For now, for this new class, I did it as startup object and then click on press. It is going to build and deploy it into the IIS. IIS is Internet Information Services. That's an application running in my PC, and from that a browser call would be triggered, and this message is shown in the browser. That's it. Now this is the previous browser session. It is going to create a new session and then display our message whatever we gave there. Any questions so far?
No, I'm pretty much okay with this. I did work on AX 2012 AOT.
Your voice is muffling, breaking. I can't hear you properly, but we are good. I'll proceed.
Yeah,
So it's still doing it. It's gonna take some time, as you have seen in the first time. So that is for the quick recap. Now I'm going to explain about how this flow of execution is happening behind the scenes. Let it continue. I'm gonna take. Let me share my other screen. You can't do that here. Okay. Whiteboard.
are you able to hear me now?
Yes, it's very clear.
Earlier, I was using hand free. Now
Okay.
it's the PC speaker.
Yeah, sometimes PC speaker is much better than uh, any hands-free or the microphone. Yeah.
It's okay. I actually have little understanding of AX 2012 AOT.
Hmm.
Sometime I used to visit there to make modification inside the tables.
Okay. Cool. Cool. That really helps for your understanding.
Because in AX 2012, you need to create in job the way you have created, and then you can run the codes.
Yeah,
So
it's the same actually. It's the same in the 365 as well. For
but
any
code is
job,
different. There
code
for
is
printing, you have to write print F and here info.
yeah, that is the change here, but the class structure and everything is same. This is just info is just a method. It's a way of showing a message in the front end. and printf was the earlier version, and Microsoft has might have changed the name of that method to this. Printf basically, if you trace back that name, it started with C language. When I started coding, I started with printf. If you want to print anything in the console, that function is used, and now they renamed
Yeah.
it, it seems, in the latest version. Okay,
Huh.
so to understand, let's continue. To understand the internal workings of Dynamics 365, let's say this is our PC,
Mhm.
logical PC. Inside this, we have Internet Information Services. So IIS, and we have various other components like SQL Server. Let me type something. SQL Server and Visual Studio. The browser. So we wrote the code in Visual Studio and saved it. As soon as you click the run button, it is going to create one package and deploy it in the IIS. I'll show you what IIS is, just a moment. IIS. This is the place where our application is hosted. What is our application? D365 is our application. Just opened it, and in the sites, a voice service. A voice service is hosted with the name a voice service. Okay, this is the place where all the code that is running behind the D365 is placed. And what this IIS is, as I said, it's a process that is called a server, which is running in my PC. Okay, if a browser enters a request and that goes to IIS, and it processes the request and then returns the response to the browser. In a simple sense, that's much more complicated than what I explained. It can do much more than that, but in our D365 context, when you build your project, it is being deployed into IIS. Okay, and just see the logical flow. It's beautiful. When the browser sends request to IIS, browser sends request to IIS, and IIS processes it by connecting to SQL Server. It sends the request to SQL Server for any data, and SQL Server returns back the response. And IIS uses the data being sent by SQL Server and processes it and send it back to the browser. Okay, in the Visual Studio, build it and deploy it here in the IIS. And then user will make a request to IIS. IIS gets data to the SQL server and send it back to the user. And in between, the code running inside the IIS will also make any external requests if it needs any additional information. I'll just give you one example. It might need to contact Microsoft for the validation of the license and everything, right? The process running inside. Okay, I'll put additional rectangle here because IIS is not only the 365, it can host multiple websites. AOS service, right? It also sends requests to external websites or services. For example, Microsoft. The flow is like this. In some cases, what do I mean by some cases? Let's say browser sent a request for the home page. Initially, what AO service does before connecting to SQL Server or anything, it sends a request to Microsoft to validate the user. Microsoft gives a valid response, then it contacts the SQL Server and get the data and processes it and send it back. Once the authentication is done, it won't frequently contact Microsoft for any other information. This is how this AOS service also connects to other services. And also there is another case where it wants to pull data from a third party system. It does that by connecting to the third party system. Like for data integrations and all, if it needs to connect to any site in any other place, it will connect. And also there are local services as well. As I mentioned, this is our PC, right? It shouldn't be here. I'm going to delete this effect. Let's put it outside. This is Microsoft, and this is third party. It makes request to third parties and Microsoft as well. Just put it like this, and information flow. And also it connects to various local components also. What do I mean by local components? Let's say we have reporting services. It's like this. This is my local environment. I'm explaining you the demo environment. Everything is inside this. This rectangle is inside my PC, and it definitely validates the user registration and the application license by connecting to Microsoft. With third party, I don't have anything. If I had to set up an Azure app and if I want to connect to that, that could be a third party. Okay, this is the component diagram for D365. In real time, IIS, Visual Studio, normally how programmers do is in Visual Studio, they write the code and create a package and deploy it in another server, not on the same particular machine. They will test it. They will have the same environment. Once the package is working and everything is tested, they will deploy it to another uh, production server. In between production and the development machine, there will be many stages like user acceptance environment and everything. You might be knowing that. Okay, in each IIS server, they are going to deploy the same code. Okay, and they will test it there and then use it in the production. And in real time, IIS is going to be in one particular server, and SQL Server is going to be residing in another server, and users will be connecting from multiple separate PCs. That is how the request response deployment and using calling third party services works. Hope you are clear. This is the environment.